to another episode of Morelia Talk Radio. This is episode 508. And with me is Nipper Reed, special guest, filling in for Owen. He's not with us because he got married this weekend. To him and Melissa, congrats to them. It was a very nice wedding, and I'm glad that he's glad that it's over. So we got a lot to talk about with Nipper, his trips, his collection, Snake Day, and much, much more. So we'll get right into it. What's up, Nipper? How you been?
I'm good, mate. How are you? Firstly, how smart did you look at Owen's wedding? Oh, my days.
Had my Godfather app.
You did. You did. You look like the Capita Tutti Kappa. You all look super smart. Owen scrubs up. He looked great.
Yeah.
He looked really cool.
He's Scottish, so he had worn his kilt from his family crest and all that stuff, and he got his ties made that it was the same colors as his kilt, and it was cool. But yeah, good times. But yeah. I know he knows that he's glad it's over.
I can remember when I got married, very, very stressful, but the venue looked amazing.
Yeah, it was a beautiful place. It was up in plenty of like herping all around, man. It's right there. Out in West Pennsylvania, pretty much.
It did make me laugh when I knew you was at a wedding, and then a little ping happened, and you sent me a picture of a toad that you'd found. It's awesome.
Yeah, we were walking up to do the rehearsal, and me and Owen are walking by, and I was like, "Hey, what is that?" And it's like, "Oh, that's a toad," and we're just standing there and looking at the toad.
That's
Everybody
awesome.
else is, "What are they doing?" Good stuff. So yeah, let's just get into it, man. I don't know where you want to hit. I mean, you're just coming back from Snake Days. Is that what it's called, this show? Tell me about it.
I'm literally, and I mean literally, just back from the Netherlands. I drove back. We started early this morning, and we just got back. There were some problems on the crossing, trying to get across the channel. But I just got back. But it's International Snake Day. It's organised by the Dutch Herpetological Society, and it's currently the second biggest European show. I do think it's going by the show that's just happened. I think it will overtake Ham as the biggest show. But this one is specifically for snakes. The normal Houten shows in Holland are all herps, but this one is specifically just for snakes, and it's a sort of epicenter to trade in venomous snakes. So yeah, it was. I was vending it. Sort of vending it. We had a little legal trouble over there. We kind of all forgot that Great Britain is no longer part of Europe because we Brexited.
Right.
So we turned up, and normally you can cross any border in Europe with no paperwork or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So we set up with everybody else, and it is a massive, massive show. So you've got 3 separate halls. One is strictly venomous. One is your bread and butter corns and your morphs and your royals and all that sort of stuff. And the other is it is just such a range of rare colubrids and different locality boas and all that sort of thing. So it's quite a big show. So we set up, and then I popped to see a friend of mine in the venomous room. Just as he got raided by the Dutch police or Dutch border control. So they confiscated all of his venomous stuff, and he had lots of king cobras that he'd bred and loads of different rattlesnakes. And then we had a lot of to-in and fro-in with legal arguments. While they were doing that, I ran back to the other hall where my stuff was, dumped it all in the box, into the boot of a car, drove my car away, and then went back to the show, and it took them about 2 or 3 hours to sort it out, but eventually they said he could trade there, but he wasn't allowed to sell the king cobras. They had to stay in Holland. So fortunately a friend of his has taken the king cobras, but it was a bit of a nightmare. So we ended up only selling a few snakes. I think we sold 4 or 5 snakes, not very many. Before it happened, but that gave me plenty of time to go shopping. And mate, what a show! What a show!
Yeah.
I know I pinged you and Dustin and the others a few pictures, but in the venomous room there was around about 100 traders in the venomous room.
Wow.
With multiple tables, and the amount of species that were for sale was ridiculous. Some completely rare, really rare stuff, and the prices were really good this year. Like Mansion vipers were only €1,500, so that's about, I don't know, £1,400 sterling for grown on Mansion pit vipers. There was. It made me laugh. There was so many price eye there. I mean, we spent days and so much sweat and tears trying to find price eye, and there were literally literally hundreds for sale there. There was every subspecies of Willardi there, and there was literally every subspecies. There was Aquilis, the long-tailed rattlesnake from Mexico, who I can't think of the Latin name. Tortugensis maybe, but I can't think of the Latin name for that. But every North American rattlesnake was represented at the show. You could buy any of those. I was really chuffed to bits because I had a lifetime snake that I've wanted all my life, and I finally managed to get them. Which was, I got a pair of sidewinders.
Oh, nice.
Which is nice. They had two subspecies of sidewinders there. They had Crotalus cerastes circumbombus and Crotalus cerastes. I got the circumbombus because I think they're prettier. Other people might disagree, but I'm really chuffed to bits to get them. But
do they focus on localities like they do?
Very much so,
with rattlesnakes and all that?
Yeah, I would say the majority of the rattlesnake people that are breeding and trading are the Germans and Austrians, and as you know, when it comes to the herp hobby, they are the most anal, fussy, must know everything about it. So particularly there was a lot of Clauberi there and a lot of Lepidus there, and Molossus there and stuff like that. All the montane stuff. Yeah, it was specific which mountain range it was from.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they absolutely nailed down with that. There was some beautiful examples of Cerberus, equally as nice as the one that we saw. So I was very tempted with those, but I stayed strong. I didn't buy them. They're something I'd like to have maybe in the future, but I haven't got space for those. At the minute, they get quite big. But yeah, literally. So many lovely rattlesnake species to see, and really nice examples of them.
What was it like? I'm curious if you saw them differently after seeing some of those species in the wild. Now that you're seeing them at the show, was it a different experience?
100%. I think I appreciate them a hell of a lot more now. Certainly, it was nice to see loads of variations, because there were quite a few variations of the Clauberi, which were different to the ones that we saw,
right?
And to put names to faces, for want of a better word. So you got Durango Mountain, was one of the ones that was quite prevalent, but there was a lot of different sky islands named, and to put it into perspective to the ones that we saw in our part of Arizona, to other sky islands in different parts of America, to see the difference in coloration and pattern was quite interesting. Also, to see Cerberus at a show, I appreciate having seen one in the wild under natural sunlight with the amazing black and lavender coloration. When you see it in a tub at a show, it doesn't look. It looks good, but it doesn't look anything like as good as to see it and hear it in the wild. Obviously,
right.
And also the blacktails. I don't know if we were particularly lucky with the example we saw, the two that we saw, but again, the colours were good at the show, but different seeing it in the wild and under natural light, I think.
Yeah.
There were a lot of Atrox there. a lot of Atrox morphs, which doesn't interest me at all, but it was very popular. They're so cheap, though. I mean, you're talking...
Really?
You're talking €50 for an Atrox. It's just ridiculous. That's pocket money prices.
Wow.
Yeah. And you can have something that's going to get to a beast of a venomous snake. It's crazy. But yeah, I can't think of a species of... The only species I didn't see there, although I've seen it before, I didn't see it on this trip, I couldn't find midget faded rattlesnake. Okay. But everything else was represented there for North America. I mean, the Mexican ones not so much, but the North American ones, yeah, it was crazy. And then, of course, you've got all the Asian stuff. There's so many different pit vipers there. Beautiful stuff. A lot of Vietnamese stuff. There was a lot of the bigger stuff. There was a lot of cobras. There's a lot of king cobras from different localities there, which was good to see. Again, so cheap. Dangerously cheap for a king cobra. Wow. Yeah, for the Malaysian, I think, which is a common type, for the Malaysian, for hatchlings, you were looking about €150.
Wow.
For something, all right, it's only the size of a little bit bigger than a hatchling corn snake, but it's going to grow really big.
Right.
It's proper dangerous. There was a lot of the arboreal stuff, a lot of Trimeresurus, and some of those. I mean, when you're looking at the white lips, again, normal white lips, €50. Well, that's a potent snake, and again, it's pocket money prices. Wow. And then you've got some of the top end stuff like Aldabricus and stuff like that. Sorry, Malabricus, not Aldabricus, it's a tortoise. Malabricus and things like that, which were thousands, but so rare in the hobby. It was really, really nice to see. And then, of course, you got there was, I think, and I was absolutely stunned, but I think the majority of Bitis was represented. So they even had Bitis worthingtoni there, which is incredibly rare.
Wow.
Little mountain adder. They were there. Lots of cornuta and rubra and all that sort of stuff. And then there's big South American stuff, bushmasters and things like that, lanceheads, loads of copperheads. Excuse me, loads of copperheads. It's just incredible.
What's the species that Phil keeps? The spinning cobras. What are they?
I sent Phil a video. I think I put it on there as well. There were so many sub-Saharan species which he loves. So yeah. All the Bitis sub-Saharan stuff. But ringcalls, there was a whole table that just had ringcalls on it. So they had them from jet black all the way through to the tiger ones that Phil's got really nice examples up to the tiger ones. But yeah, they had a whole table of them. They were cheap as chips as well. A lot of Atheris there as well. Chlorechis, Squamigera. And what was the other one I saw? Chlorechis, Squamigera. Oh, my brain's gone dead. What was the other Atheris? Oh, Nichai there. Okay. So, yeah, the venomous room was absolutely huge and heaving. I spent an awful lot of money because every European viper was there, including the protected stuff and the border. I think they were border police. They did a raid on another chap to check that he had all his certification for the CITES vipers and all that sort of thing. So they were really heavy in presence there, which I've never seen at a show before. So it's quite kind of the equivalent of Fish and Wildlife going to Daytona or something like that and literally checking the status of all the different snakes on the tables.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I know they did. I didn't hear whether it was hard or not hard, but Tinley Park was just past weekend, and they just did a vet check you have to have in order to bring animals into the show, which, you know, we talked about it on Carpets and Coffee, I think, or I can't remember. But it's good or bad. I mean, I guess it's good. You know, I don't know whether it's going to hurt people from wanting to do it or, you know, not. But that's probably normal over in Europe, no?
No, it hasn't been. but it is.
Oh, really?
It's just coming into force now. So when you go to a show, you have a cursory vet. If you're vending at the European show, you have a cursory vet examination at your table. So literally, they employ a vet for the show, and he will walk round and just look for snakes that are obviously, unwell, either respiratory or skin problems. But it's very cursory. He won't get them out the tubs or anything like that. He or she will just walk around and look at what's on your table. That doesn't cost you anything. And obviously, if they see anything on your table that they're not happy with, then you have to take it away from the table. But now, for anybody that's non-European vending at a show, you have to have vet certification for every single separate animal. So I think that is going to preclude most non-Europeans for trading at European shows now, because it's too expensive.
Right, yeah.
Which is a shame. Yeah. But I must admit, I spent an absolute fortune on European vipers because they were well represented. And it's just a kind of rabbit hole that I'm well down already now. But I got some really nice examples of Vipera renardi, which is like a meadow viper.
Okay.
Very cute. They don't get so big. They probably get to about only 18 inches, and they're white with a really nice black zigzag all the way down the back, which is very cool.
Okay. Nice.
Now, without going into too much geeky detail, but I'm absolutely fascinated with it at the minute, the taxonomy for all the Iberian vipers has just changed. There's been a really good paper just published. Mm-hmm. And so all of Portugal, Spain, and then the near African continent where it kind of touches Portugal and Spain, because Africa's only miles away. At its narrowest point, I think Africa's only 13 or 15 miles away from Spain.
Oh wow! Okay,
which is a weird thing, which is why you get so much. Which is why you get so much smuggling across that little bit of water. So you think of Europe as being a long way away from Africa, but at one point where the top end of Africa, like where Morocco comes round, the actual distance between the two is only about 13 miles, kind of like, well, a lot less than you and Cuba, sort of thing.
Right.
So
I never thought about that. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's right there.
It's right there. Yeah. So the snakes from the top end of Africa are sort of very, very closely related to the snakes at the bottom end of Spain and Portugal.
Okay.
So the vipers there, you've got Viper latast, and you've got Viper sluani, and you've got Viper aspis. Viper latast has just undergone a massive taxonomical change. So basically, they've just made a new subspecies for the ones that were at the bottom end of Portugal and Spain. The ones in Africa are now going to be Vipera monticola. They all used to be Vipera latast, but now they're splitting them up. Then you've got Vipera latast gaditania and Vipera latast. So if you're into Spanish vipers, it's a really exciting time because you've got two new subspecies, and potentially a third on the way, and then the actual type localities for the dominant species and the other subspecies have been completely changed. So it's really fascinating if you like European vipers. So, long story short, I bought an absolute beast of a pair of the new subspecies, which occurs down the bottom. They're ready to breed. They are about 18 to 20 inches, chunky, really fat little vipers. They're white with a cream border with a brown zigzag all the way down, and they've got a horn on their nose. So they look amazing. Oh, nice. If you know of Vipera amidites, which I think are quite popular in the States, the amidites viper, they look very, very similar to them. So I've got a pair of those. Cannot wait to breed those. I've got a trio of Tunisian Vipera monticola, Viper latast monticola at the minute. Which are super rare in the hobby. I mean, super rare. I mean, absolute hen's teeth rare. So I'm chuffed to bits I got those. What else did I get? I got Antaresia, which is cool.
Which kind? Which species?
maculosa, which everyone goes, ugh, starter maculosa, it's a starter Antaresia. I've kept all the Antaresia over the, I really I love spotted pythons,
Yeah.
They're not expensive, I know they're not as cool as your pygmy bandids, or they're not as cool as Pathensis or anything like that. I get that. I just really like them.
Right.
But I'm really, really, probably like you, I'm really, really fussy. So there's a lot of, I don't want to say, what's the word? There's a lot of mudbloods and stuff, way back in the, way back in its lineage. When they used to think everything was a children's python,
they crossed them all together.
Yeah, which isn't that long ago. The main taxonomy review for them was, what was that? 2010 or something like that. It's not super long ago, where everything was kind of classed as
children eye.
Yeah,
right.
And then it was quite rightly split. So I've been waiting to get a male that I was really happy with, because I've got a stunning female, which is really, really nicely marked, and just really clean and great lineage. So is
it like a stripe, or is it more like the Cape York type of stuff, where it's more of the spots? More
like Cape York.
Okay.
And so I was chuffed to bits to get him and to pair her up. Pairing the female up. I'm really looking forward to that next season. There was some quality Antaresia at the show, though. They're not cheap, but the Western Stimsons, some of the patterning on them, just absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Just how people could think that they were children's pythons back in the day is beyond me.
Mine are starting to get some size. I got 2 pairs from Justin. I have a pair of wheat belts, and then I have a pair of the second, unrelated to the wheat belts.
The Orientalis. You got Stimson.
I have both. I have both. Yeah, I have Easterns and Westerns.
Of course you do.
Of course I do.
Of course you do.
But they're just starting to gain color, and holy hell!
Oh, mate! I cannot. I mean, I get that I don't know what the prices are like in the States. They're fairly expensive in Europe. But they are worth every penny. The patterning on them is insane.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Antaresia that people don't. I guess it's like I guess they think maybe it's that idea that they're all children eye and they all sort of just brown out with age. But just like with anything, people have been working with them, and you have like this one guy that I know I have my Easterns from. It looks like a giraffe. That's what it looks like. I mean, it's like this
100%.
yellow with orange and black. It's crazy, And I'm like, these are a python. They say small. You can keep it in a real nice viv, set it up real nice, not take up a lot of space, and sort of have that python without the size. But I know they're difficult for breeding and all. But I mean, even if you're just keeping a pet snake, I mean,
I just don't get it. I think a lot of it is to do with the fact that back in the day, you probably remember because you're just as old as me, really. Children's pythons were seen as a beginner snake because they're absolutely bomb-proof. I mean, you got to hit it with a hammer to kill it. It'll put up with so much bad husbandry, and they were seen as a cheap disposable. Certainly in Europe, it was a cheap disposable. First python, get a children's python, and then if you keep, if you can look after that, then get something else. And I think they're tainted by that. But I think you're absolutely right. Now, with line breeding and our greater knowledge of the different species, so we're not mixing species and getting like muddy animals.
Right.
They're stunning. I mean, you have to go a long way to beat a decent Pathensis. They are, as you say, you've got a python that maxes out at about 14 centimetres. It's brick red with really nice spotting on it. And it's proper red. It's not your carpet python type
I know.
It's proper red. I just don't, I would have, it's one of those things, you can't have everything, and I have had them all before, except for pygmy bandits. But, for somebody looking for a genus to deep dive into, they're incredible. But
currently they're the only ones I don't have is the pygmy bandits.
Right. I mean, they're cool, but they're only cool because there's something new.
Right.
I don't think they look massively different. But even good examples of children's pythons, they're con-colour, but they've still got lovely iridescence to them. They're still a fascinating animal.
Yeah, Justin has some amazing children's pythons. Yeah, they look really, really nice stuff. So, but okay, cool. So back in the Antaresia game, I like it. I'm excited about the spotted pythons because I don't know, I'm 10 days away from, 9 days away from hopefully stumbling upon one in the wild.
that would be absolutely insane. It's one of those things. You've only got to flip the right rock or flip the right log, and you're getting something that you keep at home. You're going to see in its natural habitat. That would be.
It's nothing better.
Absolutely incredible. That would be really cool. Just quickly, just going back to the show. What else did I buy? Boiga. I got an absolute tank of Dendrophilia. So the nominate mangrove snake. Because I've got an absolutely stunning female, and again, I was just one of the things I went to the show for was to start pairing stuff up for next season. So I managed to get a really nice example, quite a big male, probably getting on for 5 feet, something like that, but really chunky. So,
are they better to buy older, or are they better to buy smaller, or it doesn't matter with them?
I would say, if you have the time and patience, always buy captive bred that's feeding. Because, obviously with the wild caught stuff, with wild caught, you're always taking a risk with parasite loads, that it's going to not feed, that the stress is going to make it, rub its nose. We all know the wild caught ones aren't treated particularly well when they come over. They're kept for ages in bad conditions till they get to the shows, blah, blah, blah. The one I bought, yes, it's wild caught, but it's from a friend of mine that I have bought a lot of stuff off before, and he'll keep them for quite a long while. He will he'll worm them and make sure they're feeding before he'll take them to a show. So it's not ideal. If you can get captive bred, I think captive bred for anything, unless you're looking for new blood, is probably the way to go.
I guess just in general, are they where are they on the level of difficulty as far as getting them going and keeping them going, and
for wild
just
caught?
In general?
In general,
either.
I'd say you wild caught. The most important thing to do is, as soon as you get it home, is put it in a tub that's either well planted or got lots of cover with a massive water bowl, and then just leave it alone. Don't be checking on it every 2 minutes. Really let it. These people go to shit. Fucking grinds my gears. Now you set me off already. I was going to be really happy on this because I've just come back from the show. Now you set me off.
Okay.
You're getting people, Boiga is quite a temperamental species anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a hard, if they're wild caught, they've had a hard journey. They've been kept in probably not best conditions, and then you're picking it up, then you're driving it halfway across Europe. Put it in a tub, let it rehydrate, let it chill. Don't be pulling it out every 2 minutes to get your Insta photos with your mangrove snake. I literally leave them alone, change the water bowl, and that's all I'll do for a couple of weeks. Then try and feed it, and let it really calm down. With hatchlings, some species of Boiga are bang on the food almost immediately. I've bred a couple of different types of Boiga. Irregularis seems to feed straight away, but others, small Dendrophilia, can be picky. But if you can get live pinks, most of them will go for live pinks, and they grow quickly. It is a robust snake. It just can't deal with stress.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger, my dad kept them, and he had this. Oh God. I think the enclosure had to be at least 7 foot high.
That's wicked.
Maybe 3 foot cross wide, maybe 2 feet deep. And he had like all these trees and vines. And what he did is he sort of, similar to like a hood, he put at the top of the enclosure, I don't know. I guess it was some type of wood that he painted or whatever, and just kind of blended in. But it just blocked them out of there, and they would just go up there and just sort of chill. And then at night, you would see them crawling around. And the blacks were blacks. Oh my God! I was like, wow, this snake is beautiful. It was one of my favorites. I mean, you can't beat black and yellow, you know.
You can't. It's such an iconic snake because of that. It's on the cover of all the THF books. When you're younger, but it is shiny black with bright yellow stripes. What's not to like? And it's angry as anything all the time. You know, they're not. It's not a pet snake. It's people like them because of the colour, right? But it's not a snake that you're going to interact with. You know. Yeah. I've got mine in 4x4 vivs, so 4 feet high, 4 feet long, 2 feet deep. Really well planted. You know, 5 days out of 7, I'll go in the snake room at night. I won't even see it. And if I do see it, it's banging on the glass trying to attack me. But, you know, they're not super friendly snakes. It's not something you're going to take out and drape round you and walk around or anything like that. But when you do see one out on the branch they are breathtaking. You know, absolutely crazy stuff.
I would keep the night tigers, but we can't get them. You know.
Are you not allowed
here
them
in
at
the
all?
States? No. I think because of that whole thing in Guam, brown tree snakes are illegal in the U.S.
What about, though, because they've just split it taxonomically, could you not be cheeky and get the flavescens instead of irregularis? I
don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
It looks it was the same thing. They've now split it.
Maybe.
They're nice. I mean, I've had them. I've bred them. They're really cool.
Yeah, they're they're right in my wheelhouse of an arboreal type of snake. You know, I guess that's sort of my thing. You know, arboreal snakes.
Oh, 100%. They look amazing in the little viv in your office.
Yeah.
They don't get big. They get about 3 foot max.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe one day.
Yeah, you'll be all charged up when you come back from Australia. You'll be all over that.
Oh, yeah. Well, so what else? Did you get anything else?
I can't remember. I think that's it. I'm sure I've forgotten something. I've got a huge poly box full of snakes to unload in a bit. No, I think that's it. So
do you still have outstanding pairs that you need to pair up, or are you pretty much set now?
Sadly, they've banned lowland king snakes, milk snakes in Europe, certain species. So there was tons of. I can still have them in the UK, but in Europe, the species of the Getula complex, they're banned completely. So it's just happened. So at the show, they were absolute pence. Everyone's trying to get rid of them. So what that's meant is, conversely, all the other stuff, like the Montaigne stuff, like Pyromelana, Knoblochii, Zanata, all of that, the prices have gone really, really high because people are going to sort of transfer over to those. And unfortunately in Europe, not in the States at the minute, as I've said to you before, everything that's kind of available in Europe has been morphed. And it annoys me so much. You really struggle to get locality good examples of king snakes and mill snakes.
Really? That surprises me.
Oh, it's so frustrating. I really want a pair of, you might remember them, they've kind of been lumped in together now, but old school taxonomy, they used to be called Lamprepeltis campbelli.
Okay.
They sometimes call them sock heads. So beautiful, they don't get too big, they get to about 3-4 foot. And they've got really nice wide white bands, and then red bands and black. Just really cool looking snake. You just can't get the normal form anymore, which is the white version. Everyone's doing Halloween phases or apricot phases. And I just want the normal ones, but you just can't get them.
Yeah.
So I've got a beautiful Sinaloa milk snake. I think, why are they not more popular? They're bright, and I mean lipstick, fire truck, bright red.
Right.
Solid, really crisp, narrow black bands. They look amazing. Again, no normal ones at the show. There's aberrant ones with silly blotches, or there's ones where they're taking the black out. Why are you making a snake that is absolutely stunning look like dog shit? What is wrong with people? I blame Generation Z for people doing stuff like this, obviously.
Bastards.
Bastards. There were some cool milk snakes there. There was Stuarti there, but they were ferociously expensive, and I'd spent way too much money on vipers by then. And there was black milk snakes, which we don't see in Europe very often. I don't know if you get them in the States, but we don't see the I think it's...
I think so.
Yeah, I've not seen them for sale for so long. They were super expensive, but absolutely stunning, well worth the money. So, long story short, I have got some milk snakes I want to pair up. But pretty much, I think I've got pairs, trios, or groups of everything now.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's the way forward. I'm looking forward to next season. The season that we've just had, I purposely didn't do very much because I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, about to completely gut my snake building and start again from scratch.
How so? Why? Why are you doing that?
Well, when I moved, I crossed counties. I moved to a different county, bought a new house, did the building and fitted it out for DWA, which is our Dangerous Wild Animal Standards, where I keep all my snakes. And at the time, I was really into Trimeresurus. So I spent a lot of money on Vivs, but they are all sort of leaning towards arboreal stuff. So so they're all taller than short and
right.
Those sort of dimensions, because you know, and they've worked great for ages because I had a lot of Trimeresurus. Now I don't have any. So what I want to do, and you know, we've talked about this a lot on and off the air, but I want to be a smaller collection but a better collection. So I know we talk about it a lot, but it's so the way forward. And I talk to a lot of people, and I think, without sounding patronising, as you get older, you really value your collection more, and you value your time with your collection. Yeah, and you don't want to just be pulling drawers open, chucking a mouse in, and changing the walk bar and shutting the drawer. You want to appreciate what you've got. So to that end. There's a cage, there's like a Viv manufacturer in the UK which do really, really nice Vivs, very, very modern looking Vivs. So I want to completely get rid of all my Vivs and uniformly redo it, but they'll all be designed, rather than for arboreal stuff, they'll be for rattlesnakes or European vipers.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
They'll be long and short rather than tall. Yeah.
Right.
So I want to do that, and also everything I want automated now. With these new stats that we've talked about, the Evo stats are incredible. You can program it for different temperature ranges throughout the day, so you can have a natural warming period till midday and then a natural cooling period all programmed in. You can have your humidity programmed into the same stat, so that it monitors that and sprays when you need it to be sprayed and keeps the humidity at exactly the right level. Even controls when the lights come on and off, so you can have your UVA coming on separately to your UVB, and also it's so clever. I want everything.
It makes keeping so much easier,
mate. Yeah, I mean, I get that it's not cheap, but I am an old fart now. I don't care. Yeah. I just want to be able to. And the good thing is, it all Wi-Fi's to your phone, so wherever you are, you can just have a quick check of everything. One of these Evo stats will do one bank of Vivs, so 5 Viv high bank, one stat, so you haven't got all the wires that you would have had before.
Right.
And I want all the stacks of Vivs to be on wheels, so each stack can be moved around the room, which is it is the dream.
Right.
And I've, as I say, the reason I haven't bred much is because I'm thinning out as much as I can to go in
I think for like the technology part of it, I don't know. It seems like our group of herpers probably appreciate it a little more because, you know, we had to do all that stuff by hand or guessing it or, you know, making makeshift ways in order to make those things work. And, you know, young herpers today coming in, they just, you know, have it right in their hand,
100%.
Which is awesome. You know, it's great.
I've said it before, but I think over the last 5 years, the technology for reptile keepers has just increased exponentially. It's been incredible. There's no excuses anymore. You can't just keep something in a tray. You know, it's not right. There's no need for it. I mean, don't get me wrong, certain species I would keep in a tray. Eryx I'd keep in a tray, probably. Rubber boas, things like that. Things that are naturally fossorial are going to be underground in soil. Yeah, I get that. But things that are not, you know, that we normally see in the wild basking, how can you be keeping that without UVA and UVB now?
Yeah.
We know better now, and it's so easily available. It's not even very expensive anymore.
No, yeah, it's. I notice a difference in my snakes just from using that. You know, diamond pythons, even now coastal carpet pythons are starting to move into that mix slowly but surely, moving everything over. Like you said, smaller collection. You know, knowing those animals on a. You know, I don't know. I always felt a disconnect when I was. Just cramming as much as I could into my room, you know, like every little inch of space was, I can get this and keep this and this, you know. I know, I guess most people go through it, yeah, you know, and, you know, it's part of the thing and you sort of get your feet on what you figure out. I think, though, that maybe you'll agree or disagree. I think sometimes, at least for me, I was afraid to sort of get rid of things that I don't know, like it would make me less of a keeper, or people would look at me differently, or, you know, why wouldn't you keep even just look at carpet pythons with morphs, right? If I don't have this or that or the other, you know, I've talked about this before where I felt that I wouldn't be the carpet python guy because I didn't have everything. And at that point, looking back at it now, am I keeping for me or am I keeping for some sort of, you know, social media badge that is meaningless, you know?
I completely agree. And I think we're all guilty of, you know, following the trends. Maybe when we're newer in the hobby, you've got to have this snake to be taken seriously. I'm at a stage now where I just think, fuck you all. I couldn't care. Genuinely.
Yeah, me too.
Do you know what I mean? I'm excited about spotted pythons. I'm not going to lie. You know, they're never going to make me a lot of money, but I think they look amazing. So I'm keeping them.
Right.
I've got snakes that everyone says are amazing, and I'm like, meh. I've got Sanzinia.
Yeah.
This boring snake going. Oh my days! I really don't get the hype. Yeah, they're hard to get, but so, you know, they don't do much for me. I will probably end up almost certainly getting rid of them soon because they don't fit in with what I'm doing. But
yeah, I think that's key, right? You know, I mean, like Rob, look at him. He keeps Puerto Rican boas, you know, and nobody cares about those except for a few people, and you know, he keeps them because he likes them. You know, he enjoys them.
100%. You know, Rob is leading the charge in having a collection that makes him happy. It's not anybody else's collection. It's Rob's collection. He keeps what he wants. Yeah, you know, and he's interested. And I also think I don't think you need to just think in a sort of Germanic, Teutonic way. I am going to keep this genus, and all I'm going to keep is this genus. But I do think there's something to be said on focusing on a genus and similar, rather than, I don't think, unless you've got a load of space and a load of time, I think it's difficult to keep stuff from Africa and stuff from Australia that, you know, one needs high humidity on one light cycle, one is a completely desert arid snake needs a completely different light cycle.
Right.
You know, how people, you know, and a lot of people aren't, you know, I realise I'm really fortunate that I've got a separate building. A lot of people don't have the luxury of that. So you're trying to keep stuff in your house, and it's, if I was to speak to a newer, not a brand new keeper, but a newer keeper now, I'd say find something that you really like. Mm-hmm. Don't worry whether it's trendy or not. Don't worry if it's going to make you money. You shouldn't be in the hobby to make money. If it's not your business, if it is just a hobby for you, don't keep stuff because you think, oh, I'm going to make dollars out of that, because it will end up not being fun. It will end up just being a chore. So choose a species that you like, or choose a genus that you like, and really deep dive into that.
I felt the most close to burnout when I was keeping species of pythons that it's probably similar to what you're saying with the Sanzinia, right? It's like, you know, everybody cares about, you know, I don't know, white lips, let's say. And like I kept them, and it's just like, not for me, you know. I mean, they're beautiful snakes, you know, and I can appreciate talking to somebody about them, and you know, but that's sort of where my line is, right? I have no need to want to try to keep those, you know. I'm happy with carpets, and I guess that's the thing, right? I always feel like that somehow, just because I have a coastal carpet, it's like, I don't know. I think maybe this trend is changing, but it seems like that people would look at you as less than because you're not breeding this rare, you know, white lip or ring python or whatever it would be.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's back to the children's pythons and the spotted pythons, because it was seen, coastal was a sort of beginner's python, for want of a better word, and I think it's kept that, unfortunately. But you know, line-bred coastals look amazing.
Yeah,
but it's still got that sort of overarching, oh, that's a beginner python,
right?
Where you know, and let's be honest, white lips look great. There's no two ways about it. It's a stunning looking snake. They're fussy animals. They're not easy to keep. If it's your thing, great. Put a lot of time and effort, like Owen. Put a lot of time and effort into that, and you know, fair play. You've clearly got it right. But that's not for everybody. And if you're battering yourself trying to be successful at a species that you're not really enjoying, it's pointless. It is a hobby at the end of the day.
Right.
You know, it shouldn't be a chore.
Yeah, I was talking to Matt Minatola about this at Owen's wedding. We were talking about, you know, sort of like everybody gravitates towards like the red blood pythons, right? Obviously they're red, and they have the most morphs in the, you know, short tail complex or whatever. But, you know, Matt's into Borneo. It's really his thing. He's pretty much, I would say he's the top Borneo breeder in the U.S. And, you know, he has just magnificent examples of these things. And like, he's sort of like, that's kind of my wheelhouse. I have no desire to keep this, you know, 007 golden eye, you know, I'm you know, you know, and I guess some people may look at that as like, well, why wouldn't you want to do that? But like, you know, I mean, he's just an example that sort of keeps me in that mindset of, you know, stay with what you love. And if you love it, you know, people will catch on to that and feel your genuine passion about whatever it is, even if they don't keep it, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I you know, I do feel a smaller collection of something that you're super interested in, whatever it is definitely the way forward. So
yeah, I think that's why people like Owen, Lisa, you know, I think Ryan Young's probably an example of this too, is like he's so focused on these Indo-Australian pythons that he's going to have success with them. Whereas like I felt that juggling all these different species and trying to maintain, to your point of what you were saying earlier, all these different needs that are not necessarily the same, you know, like, you know, I can kind of get away with it maybe if I'm keeping a little bit of humidity with, say I'm keeping a scrub python or green tree, I can sort of keep that in line with a carpet because they can sort of adapt either way, one way or the other. Whereas, you know, white lips might be a little fussier. And you may keep them and be successful keeping them, but are you going to be successful breeding them and maintaining them long term? So. But
100%. So to that end, that is why I'm shelving a lot of stuff and redoing the room, and concentrating on Iberian vipers. Mm-hmm. The reason for the Iberian vipers is their parameters in terms of humidity and heat and light cycles they're sort of almost identical to the sort of rattlesnakes that I'm interested in.
Oh, okay.
So I can keep Iberian vipers and certain rattlesnakes, and all the parameters will all be very, very, not necessarily identical, but very, very similar.
Okay.
So that is the way forward.
Cool. Awesome. Do you still are you going to still keep the poplin pythons?
Yes, I'm never getting rid of the poplins. This year, I did put them together.
Right.
But when you know, it's just, you say it all the time, student of the serpent. Because of work and various other things, I really felt that I'd missed a window, but I put them together anyway. In hindsight, I should have put them together a month earlier, because I'm sure I saw some swelling, and I thought, I must do that, and then things got in the way, and it ended up being, so I will have a much better go at that next season. I got locks, but they're a difficult species anyway. Yes. But I'm really looking forward to doing that properly, but I've been really strict with the food cycling for them, paid much more attention to food cycling and the type of food I'm feeding them. And I'll put them together a lot earlier.
Are you doing a varied diet of birds and mammals? Or
predominantly birds, to be perfectly honest. I'm doing adult quail, the big adult French quail. I don't know if you have an equivalent over there, but like the adult French quail, I'm doing whole chickens. Pheasant. I cut the tails off the pheasant, but whole pheasant's feathers and everything. But I take the tail feathers are massive on a pheasant, so I take the tail feathers off. I'm also doing super large rats. I mean, they're like small dogs, some of the rats that I'm being able to get at the minute. I do some rats, and the occasional guinea pig. They don't seem to go for guinea pigs that often, but certainly heavy on the bird prey, and I'm feeding a lot more cyclical than I used to for them.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about your experiences with just the power of those snakes.
I can give you.
I say it all the time, but
I can give you an example. Just before I went to Milos, I had one pop the glass. They're in 8-foot vivs. I had one pop the glass out of the viv, not by pushing the glass out of the runner, by pushing the frame out of the viv that the runner sits on.
Exactly.
I've kept a lot of venomous over the years. I've kept retics. I've kept different scrubs. Blah 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 blah. The most potentially dangerous snake I think I own is the Apodora. I'm yet, either in the wild or in captivity, to find a more powerful pound for pound snake. Just insane.
Yeah, I've handled 18-foot berms, 22-foot retics, and nothing has come close. Mean African rock pythons back in the day. No, nothing like that.
They're an incredible snake, and when people are going on about how dangerous scrubs are, just know. Scrubs are like corn snakes compared to them. That's what I mean. I'm sorry, I know there's a big scrub community, I don't want to hate. I mean, I love scrubs. I think scrubs are a fantastic species.
100%.
But they are Walmart compared to an Apodora.
Yeah, that's so true.
They really are. It doesn't compare. And the level of intelligence, I mean, I don't wish to anthropomorphise or whatever, but they just seem to look at you you walk in there and they're straight away they're looking at you, and you can just tell they're just judging your outfit the minute you walk in. You walk up to the V and they're just like, your trainers are shit. They're just beasts. They're absolute beasts. I really like them.
Amazing snakes.
Actually, the colour change, the daily colour changes that they go through, and you're talking about the improvements in the hobby. I now in the big vivs I have big long Pro T5 kits for UVB.
Okay.
I have UVA directional basking bulbs, the Arcadia directional UVA, and I also have deep heat emitters as well. So I have an area, and you're thinking it's a big snake, even when if it's coiled up really tightly, it covers an area of about 3-4 foot, even if it's in a tight coil. So I want to make sure that the whole snake can get warm, rather than just a single hotspot along the snake, which will cause problems. Right. So I have banks of these deep heat projectors above a particular basking spot, and they will come out. I stole the idea unashamedly from Keith at Peak. I've got a false floor in the vivs. Okay. So each end of the viv, it has like a wooden raised area. So they can come out. They tend to hide underneath there. It's only raised by about 6 inches. Okay. They'll come out from underneath there, come out into the viv proper, and they'll just coil under these deep heat emitters for a couple of hours, and then they'll go off, sit in the water bowl, do whatever they want to do. They do spend a lot of time I've got big. I don't know what they would have been really. I think they were dinner trays for schools or something like that. But they're quite big trays that the whole snake can get in. Right. But yeah, I've really noticed the behaviour that when the UVA and UVB clicks on, they're out and basking for a little while, a couple of hours, and then gone again. It's essential, and I think for breeding that's going to be essential. I think that's going to be an essential element as well, in terms of I shall stop feeding next month completely, and I should just naturally let the temperatures drop. So I want to get them down to the 50s. Okay. But with a UVA and deep heat for lessening time periods every day. So they will still be able to warm up, but not all day. The time period that they can warm up will probably go down to, at the coldest point, they'll probably only warm up for an hour, be able to bask for an hour and a half or something like that. And then obviously just reverse it and start giving them longer periods to warm up. So I think that's going to be a good factor. And the diet, I don't think I did it well going into this season. So what I want to do is I've really fed the female heavy for the last couple of months, and when I'm bringing the temperatures up, I'm going to feed the female a lot more before I put them together. I think really increase that. So we shall see. I mean, I think that's as much as I can do in the area that I have. That's as much as I can do, is really concentrate on the light cycle, concentrate on the food cycle, and concentrate on the temps. Hopefully one of that, I've had lots, but it just doesn't seem to go to the next stage. So fingers crossed we'll get it done. It's a species I'd love to breed, because for me, I know everyone's got different opinions, different loves. For me, it's the pinnacle of pythons.
Yeah, they're like I said, they're one of those species that I think. I just say it a lot on the show because I fear I get a lot of messages about people wanting to get into them, and I just want to make sure that they know what they're getting into.
100%. It's one of the only snakes I have that I don't often. If I have to handle it to clean the viv or do something, I don't go in the snake room on my own. I'll take somebody in with me, because when I'm holding a 12 foot or whatever it is Apodora, and it curls round me, it's really hard to get it off. I'd recommend them to anybody, but just as you so rightly say, just be aware of what you're getting into.
Right. Yeah.
but they are.
Yeah, if they think it's going to be similar to their royal python.
Yeah, even I mean, I've had adult scrubs.
Scrubs, yeah, that's another one.
Scrubs can be a handful. Scrubs can give you a naughty bite, and they're powerful snakes. There's no two ways about it. But it's not even on the same scale. I would say the only thing potentially similar is a adult rock python for strength and being potentially dangerous.
Yeah, I had bought a pair of them a few, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago at Tinley, and
and the question on everybody's lips is why.
That's what everybody said to me. Even actually Casper was there at the time, and he was talking to me, and he's like, these are beautiful snakes, or whatever. He's like, why though? And I'm thinking about it at the time, and when I was asked that question at the time, I'm just saying things like, because they'll get lost in captivity and and all that kind of thing, and then realizing, like, what did I do? Why did I do this? This was not. I didn't think this through, because it's so easy when they're in a small deli cup. It's
100%. But how many people buy retics or anything?
Yep.
And they look so cute and tiny, and they're fabulous patterns,
beautiful colors,
colours,
patterns.
Yeah, and then in 2 years' time, you're looking at a 6 foot, 7 foot plus snake that's nowhere near fully grown.
And even beside the part of the potential danger of working with a species that's a big species like that, you bring up a good point. I think that people think like I can have this one hot spot that's going to somehow heat up this 20-foot snake.
Exactly. And all that's going to happen is the snake is just going to get burns or deep tissue damage. I think, I can't try to think it was. I think it might have been Mike Stefani, somebody that was talking about the bigger monitors, keeping lace monitors or something.
Yes,
You've got to do the same for monitors. Monitors want to get their temperature up really high. But you can't have one little UV light that's just, it's doing a 10 centimetre little circle on the back of the monitor. It needs to have proper heat. Yes. So, I'm looking forward to that next season. I've got so much stuff to pair up that I haven't tried before. My Fuscus are coming up to age now. So I've got an unrelated trio from Fog Dam, so I want to do some work there. My Maclots are up to size now, so I've got an unrelated trio of Maclots, so I want to put those together.
Cool.
As soon as I've bred the Maclots, they're going. It's just, I've had them for so long waiting to get them to a breeding age.
Right.
They're a really lovely snake, but they are just grief. They are just constantly snappy. They don't really fit in with the way I want to go. So if I want to breed them though, because this is a box I need to tick. But as soon as, if I'm fortunate enough to breed them, they'll be going. I'll try the Sanzinia again.
Have you bred them at all yet?
No, I get locks every time I try. I get loads of locks, but can't seem to get. Don't know what is going on there.
Sometimes I wonder too if it's just the room itself, right? As far as like what you're saying, if you're keeping all these different, species in a room, sometimes maybe those things will affect, and you don't even realize that they are.
Yeah, 100%. I'm really excited about putting the Vipera latast together to get little horn viper babies. That would be amazing.
Very cool.
I did all right with. I've got a couple of different groups of pygmy python, and I did good with those. I've managed to breed 7 this year, which was nice.
Nice. So
I'll put those again all together, see if we can get some nice babies. Again, I want to put I haven't done the Pituophis yet, so they're up to size now. So I'll probably put the Pituophis together, the Northern Pines. Put the Knoblocki together, see what happens there. And I will put I've got way too many Jamaican boas. I know people are probably be going, oh my God, what's he moaning at? I've got too many Jamaican boas. If I could post them to the States, I would be posting them to people because they're so big. and I've got loads of them. But I've got 2 pairs that I particularly want to put together. So that's another project. The mangroves, I'll put those together next season as well. And then I've got all my lizards. My Milos are breeding age now.
Oh, nice.
I've got two pairs of those, so they'll go together. My Castle Naui Oedura are up to breeding age, so I shall put those together. My Strophaurus ciliaris are breeding age, so I'll put those together. My Strophaurus telecordia are up to age, so they can go together next time. And then I've got all my Coleonyx to put together, so I've got I've got Variegatus, Brevis, and Imitatus to go to, so they should do some good work. I did well with Felsumas this year. I bred Standing Eye, which I was really pleased because I love Standing Eye. They're cracking Felsumas. So I bred the Standing Eye. I've got 3 groups of those, and my Kochi bred. So yeah, we'll see.
Nice.
That's the plans.
Yeah, I mean, for me with the lizards, I don't know if I want to breed them. I enjoy keeping them, but I don't know if I want to go down that road. I mean, if they breed, I guess that's good, but I just enjoy watching them and having something different. Oh,
100%. I managed to breed the very rare. I've got a very rare form of cave gecko, and I managed to breed that and not even know, which was good.
Yeah, that's the best way. Right?
That's the best way. I must have been amazing because I made no effort for that whatsoever, and I was doing a clean, and I just moved some soil, and there was eggs, so that was great. I'm hoping the same thing. I've got my Underwoodysaurus Milli in quite a large viv. With like a sandy soil and leaves and lots of bark, and I just leave it alone. I put food in there, and I would just watch them hunt, but I don't fuss them at all. So I'm hoping some babies will emerge at some point. That might be cool.
I think we're going to be on the. I think Asper's on the list for us to see where we're going.
Yeah, I was messaging Rob, and he told me, I don't know if you know the species list for where you're going.
Oh yeah.
With the Strophaurus on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will be amazing. If you can get photos of that will be insane.
Yeah. Let's hope.
Let's hope. Yeah. As I said to you before, I think it'd be great for you to not be just snake focused on this trip. You'll be,
Yeah, this is the first Australia trip that I'll be doing that on.
Yeah,
so,
I'm
excited.
You literally, I hope you got a big memory card in your camera, because instead of taking a couple of pictures of carpet pythons, you'll be anything that moves. You'll be all over the skinks and the geckos, and
I've even been brushing up on the birds.
Oh, cool! That's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's some amazing birds over there in Australia.
Oh, 100%. The trouble is, as I was in Arizona with just, sensory overload, that I didn't know whether to photograph butterflies, reptiles, plants, just everything. You're going to be like that in Australia with, you won't know which direction to be looking in.
Yeah. I think for me, I would really like to see a lace monitor. That would be...
that'd be absolutely incredible.
Amazing. Obviously, a coastal carpet, spotted python. It would be nice to see a blackhead from the East Coast rather than the Northern Territory,
Yeah.
And then, a couple of geckos, there's a couple species I'd like to see in particular. And then, everything else is just, I'll just enjoy it just to enjoy it,
Yeah, 100%. I'm already, I'll be perfectly honest, I'm already berating Rob that the nanosecond he gets home, before his bags have even touched the floor, he has to start planning the Utah trip.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been looking at the species list for Utah. It's very good. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of snakes there that will be very cool to see.
Well, I mean, you're almost, I guess this is a good transition. You're almost at the end of the European list. Now you have to tackle the American list.
This is very true. I have 3 species left now, because after my trip to Milos...
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's good. It's taken a while. I got 2 ticks on Milos, which was very good. I had no idea. You know when I don't know. You know when you look forward to going somewhere, possibly like one of your Australia trips. You think this area is going to look like this when I get there, and I'm going to herp, and I'm going to do. Milos was completely different to I thought, and I've wanted to go to Milos for years and years and years and years because it's quite an iconic place for European herping. It was nothing like I imagined. It's much smaller than I imagined. It's a tiny little island. Yeah, it's if you imagine it's like a croissant-shaped island. It's got a real curve to it. And I thought it'd be like typical Greek herping. So you go to a Greek island, there's lizards everywhere, every rock you turn under, there's a snake, and it's going to be really, really easy, and the temps are going to be nice. And it wasn't like that at all. The herping was really, really hard. So if you imagine the island's like a crescent shape, you can only really easily herp in the middle. The 2 ends of the crescent are national parks, and you need a 4-wheel drive to go through them. There's no roads. The roads there are like washed out tracks. There's not a really good infrastructure there. I only had a normal hire car, so I couldn't access the 2 ends of the island. Temperatures were insane. Temperatures was nearly hot as Arizona, which is ridiculous at the time of year I went.
Really?
You know,
Holy shit.
We're in the high 30s. I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? You know, it's not supposed to be this hot. And it was super windy, which again is not great for herps. So the herping was really, really hard.
Unless you're Sidewinder. Sidewinders love the wind.
Do they?
I don't know why. We found like 12, I don't know.
That's good to know. That is good to know.
Right.
But I had 2 main targets. The island has got a lot of endemics in terms of it's got a wall lizard you only find on that island. Okay. It's got a very large viper by European standards that you only find on that island. And then it's got a grass snake subspecies you only find on that island that looks nothing like anything else, although it's only a subspecies of the normal grass snake. You've got a green lizard that looks nothing like anything else, but it's only a subspecies at the moment. You've got a frog that you only find on the island, which used to be a full species and now been made a subspecies of something else. And you've got absolutely one of the most beautiful European snakes, the leopard snake, which is you've probably seen them.
Yeah, you sent the picture.
Oh, I did. Yeah,
Absolutely
stunning snake. And again, like anything, like yourself, when you see it in natural light, it is literally blood red. It's an absolutely incredible snake. So I thought, in my innocence, I'm going to land, step off the plane, and be inundated with herps. It was super hard. There's very, very little standing fresh water on the island. There's probably so if you can find fresh water, you stand a better chance of finding herps. Gotcha. So I went to a spot that I've been told about for vipers, and it was it's a pond, and the whole area is probably only about 400 to 500 metres square. The rest of it is tinder dry, or literally tinder dry. Very, very scenery, very, very similar to where we were in Arizona. So low thorn bushes, sandy soil, bare rock, tinder dry. And then in the middle of it, you've literally got an oasis, which is this little tiny pond, which was man-made back in Victorian times and is now just abandoned, with reeds growing all around it. And I looked there. There's a lot of trash there. European herping is all about flipping. It's completely different to as we did in Arizona, where you're listening for snakes. Our snakes aren't quite so accommodating. They don't make any noise, so everything is flipping. And particularly in the high temperatures, nothing was out. So I was herping really early in the morning, and so around this pond, there's a lot of trash. There's big tractor tyres. And you've probably at the gym flipped a tractor tyre. It's not the
Yeah.
easiest thing in the world.
No.
Certainly not in really high heat either. So I was sweating ridiculously trying to flip these tyres. Cleverly, because life sort of got in the way, just before I went on the trip, I had a massively hectic time at home and at work. So I literally packed for the trip 2 hours before I left. Normally I do it days before, but
Right.
we literally was busy up to 2 hours before we left for the airport. And
Holy shit.
I managed to forget my gloves, my snake gloves I forgot, and all my chargers for all my head torches and stuff like that. Mate, what an amateur. It really was. You know, it was like Owen going. Do you know what I mean? It was just terrible. So I'm flipping for the second most venomous snake in Europe with no gloves, which wasn't great. I don't recommend it. Kids, don't try this at home.
Right.
Ali, my partner, was with me, and she, although she's not a herper, she is a phenomenal herper. It's really weird. Oh, mate, I think it's because you know what it's like. We read about the species, we research the species, so we know what habitat to look in, we know what temperatures are good, and all these things. Because she doesn't know any of that. She doesn't care. She just she's like a little wind-up toy. She's tiny, my missus. She's absolutely tiny, right? She's probably, she says she's 5 foot. She's just 5 foot maximum. She weighs less than my dog, and it's like an on-off switch. She said, "What are you looking for?" And I show her a picture, and she's gone, and she does not stop.
Flipping machine.
She absolutely is. So we've been herping for about an hour and a half, 2 hours in this blistering heat, and I was like, I'm tired. We hadn't slept because of the flight times and stuff like that. And I said, I'm done. I said, we'll call it a day. And she said, let's just flip that last tyre. I said, I can't be arsed. She said, no, go on, just flip it. So I flipped this big tractor tyre, and I said, there's nothing underneath it. I just put it down. She said, no, there was something underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no, there wasn't. And I put my hand underneath and lifted it again, and where I put my hand, within about 6 inches, was a viper. It was so cryptic. Honestly, I've seen a lot of vipers in the wild, a lot of European vipers, a lot of Middle Eastern stuff. I have never seen anything this cryptic. It was only the arrow shape of the head that caught my eye. Even when I'm looking at it, it was so hard to see. The coloration is similar to a sidewinder, so like that sandy colour with the spots on it, which match the soil perfectly. It's just perfectly. I would literally stupidly put my hand well within striking range of it. Fortunately, it just sat there looking at me, and I managed to get some cracking pictures because it just didn't move, which was cool. And so that was the first viper I found, and then I ended up going. We went all over the island to other sites. A lot of the places that I'd been recommended, the water was dried up. Some of the river valleys, there was just no standing water. We went to another famous site for it, a big lake. The lake had no water in it. It was just a massive mud plain. Okay. So I was thinking, so I thought I'll go back to the same site. So I got up really early. On the way to because I was walking, so it was about an hour's walk to get to this place. I managed to saw the green lizard, which was really cool. So that was another species that I saw, and then in the actual pond where the vipers are, the frog, the Milos water frog. So I'd seen them. So I spent about another hour flipping stuff. There's lots of flipping tins, and then I started photographing dragonflies because it was just too hot to flip. And I thought, I'm going to sit down and have a rest. And I sat on the bank of the pond, and I just sat there going through my photos on the camera, and I looked to my right, and not 2 foot away from where I'd sat was the biggest European viper I've seen in the wild.
Really?
Curled up under a pile of leaves, literally within 2 foot of me. And I just saw one coil, and I thought, that's an odd colour. And I looked over, and I thought, my God. And this viper must have been getting on for 1 metre long, and it was really thick. It had just eaten I presume, a couple of water frogs or some small wading birds or something like that, because you could actually see lumps down its body, which is clearly white. Clearly white. It's just sat there and not bothered by me. But yeah, I was absolutely shaking, because if I'd have sat down 2 foot to the 2 foot to the right, I'd have sat on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And the venom of this species is super toxic.
Oh wow.
It's the same species, or it's very, very similar to the blunt-nosed viper in Cyprus.
Okay.
Which causes a lot of serious medical issues. So yeah, so cryptic. I mean, I know I sent you a picture, but it's so hard to see. It's really cool. And the wall lizard was everywhere on the island. That was the easiest tick. We actually had the wall lizard round our apartment. And then I was walking back. We was looking for cat snakes, which we didn't find, but I've seen cat snakes in a lot of different countries. So about 10 o'clock at night, we're walking back, and there's lots of dry stone walls. You don't get dry stone walls in the States, do you?
I don't think so.
So no. all over Europe, Britain and Europe, a lot of the farming fields are split by dry stone walls. So they literally pile rocks on top of one another in a specific way, and these walls will stand for hundreds of years. But it's just like boulders piled on. So for snakes, it's a mecca, because there's so many holes in that, and they get quite warm. So we were shining our head torches looking along the dry stone walls, and then just across in front of me I saw the lovely leopard snake pop out. So I managed to grab it. It bit me so many times, but it was worth it to get some decent pictures of it, which is cool.
Yeah, so, that was a beautiful snake.
It's an incredible snake, but yeah, it was in terms of herping, it was a really hard trip. Lots of hours for not many species.
Didn't they do? Didn't the YouTube channel Live in Zoology do a thing on leopard snakes? If I'm not mistaken, I think that's where that's where I originally saw them. I think
it's a really widely distributed snake in Europe. Yeah. It's in a lot of the Greek countries, Montenegro, Macedonia, and places like that. But it's very, very like Pyromilana. You can't go out and flip one. You see it because it's come out. Yeah, you see it or you don't. You can't. It's like the coral snake we found. We could have searched all week and not found one of those.
Right.
We were just lucky that it was crossing the path when we were there, and it's the same for them. It's not really a species you can say, right, I'm going to go and target leopard snakes. You have to be in the habitat and be lucky enough that one's come out.
It's almost like bycatch, almost. Sort of,
100%.
It's like you're out there looking for other things and you stumble upon.
Yeah, I've never known on a trip for us to be able to say, right, we're going to find leopard snakes and find one. But I've been on trips when we're looking for other stuff, and it just comes out. Yeah, stunning thing. And the marine life out there, because obviously by lunchtime it was too hot to herp.
Right.
So I love being in the sea. So the fish were incredible. Just
really
conger eels and ornamental wrasse. Just lovely.
So did you snorkeled at all, or dived, or?
You didn't need to.
Just saw them in the water?
The water is so clear, crystal clear. So I was just swimming around looking at fish, and I would literally, like a child, I would literally sit in the water, just so that my shoulders are just out of the water, and I just putting my face in, and the fish are swimming all around you. It's absolutely incredible.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, it was a great trip, but much harder herping than I thought it was going to be.
Okay. Did it? I mean, obviously Utah's the spot, but what's the trips lined up now? I mean, well, let me ask this question first. What's left on your list for Europe?
So, for Europe, I have a lizard to find on a tiny, tiny little island. Oh, that reminds me, we caught the ferry across to another Greek island called Milos. To look for the vipers there. It's the same viper on Milos, but it gets bigger. But we couldn't find one. We found the subspecies of the lizard I was interested in, but we couldn't find the viper. But the vipers there are bigger. But on my list is Naxos, which is a tiny little Greek island. It'll probably fit in your house. And there's a green lizard there, which I need to see. I need to go back to Crete, although I've seen the stuff on Crete, I didn't bother photographing the gecko there. And now they've made that a new species, which is annoying because it looks exactly the same as every.
Right.
It's the least interesting herp going. It is a tiny little gecko that is grey. That's it. It's just of no interest whatsoever, but I have to see that.
Yeah.
And then I've got the bloody blotch snake, Alephas suramansis, just does my head in. I've done so many trips looking for it. I've done trips to multiple countries looking for it. I found a huge adult dead on the road. I cannot find a live one. Again, it's another one of those snakes that you can't go and look. You can't specifically look for it. It'll just be out. So those are the three things that I need to see next year. So I'll be doing trips to Naxos, Crete. I'll probably go back to the Peloponnese for the blotch snake because there's lots of nice vipers there that I can get different photos of, even though I've seen them all. And that'll be the European list done. Thank God. Finished.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's a lovely thing, but I guarantee you they'll split stuff, and there'll be other trips in the future. But at least I can say I've finished the list, and then I'm going to pound the States, mate. If money and time allows, Utah. I'm super excited about Utah.
Yeah, me too.
Hoppy rattlesnake, midget faded rattlesnake, prairie rattlesnake, maybe tiger rattlesnake, maybe sidewinders if we're going, slightly into Arizona and stuff like that. So many cool species there. What's the other big one for Utah? There's another abyssus, and there is one more. Can't remember. There's another one. So there's so many little rattlesnakes in that area, and then I'm desperate to come and herp with you, Owen and Keith. Keith messaged me, said he's got some sites for me where he lives. But I know it's your backyard, but Philadelphia, that sort of Pennsylvania, it's got so many great herps. You really have. Yeah. You got the obvious. You got the obvious timbers, which is super high on my list to see, and you got copperheads. Again, something I've wanted to see since I was a child. Just right. There was so many different copperheads at the show. Just fantastic. Really? Yeah. Want to see copperheads. But you've got hellbenders. You've got mud puppies. You've got Pituophis. You've got so much stuff. You've got so many species. I can't remember. I looked it up. I think you've got over 40 species of salamander. I
think so. Yeah.
Mental. Yeah. Then you've got your toads as well. There's so much stuff there. And again, although for you it's not necessarily super exciting, for me it's like Arizona. Literally everything I see will be brand new.
I'd be curious to see how you perceive the difference between the West and the East.
Oh, okay.
Because in the East, it's just completely different. It's just completely different than the West. The environment, humidity, temperature, it's different,
It's the East where the Cistrurus is, Massasogas.
Yeah. When I say East, I mean like East Coast, as opposed to out in the West,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just it's like night and day.
Well, let's hope the food and the tea are better in your area.
Well, I don't know about the tea, but maybe so.
Yeah.
Remember, we threw it all in the ocean.
Yeah. It's absolutely criminal. I still haven't forgiven your country for that, to be perfectly honest.
That's the one thing you're mad at.
That is the one thing. That is the one thing I completely get. And again, if money and time allows, Ali's very keen to go to Florida.
It's interesting you bring that up because we were talking about that, and Matt had said to me at the Owen's wedding, he's like, "How come you guys don't? Do you guys have any interest in herping Florida?" And I said, "Well, I do, but it just seems that we're always more geared towards the West." Yeah. Which is fine for me because it's so different than what I'm used to. But I think we're going to try to do a couple like weekend trips because it's so. Okay. I mean, it's so easy to jump on a plane for the weekend and go down to Florida and do some some herping.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you've got some cracking species down there. I mean, you've got 2 rattlesnake species to see.
Eastern diamondback is high on my list.
Eastern diamondback, but you've got the pygmy rattlesnakes. And honestly, mate,
those two. Yeah.
I will lose my shit because I keep them. to see it in the wild would just be phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to go down into that area, maybe East Texas. I'd like to see, like along that, along the Gulf of Mexico.
100%. I mean,
type of area.
I was chatting to my friend who came away with us for the Snake Day, and he's a zookeeper or zoo manager, not zookeeper. He'll get cross at that. He's a zookeeper. It's a zoo manager, and he used to have a breeding project in one of the zoos he worked in for the Aruba Island rattlesnake.
Oh.
And I would love to go to Aruba Island and see the rattlesnake. So that would be super interesting.
Yeah.
And do sort of Baja as well, that sort of area of America.
Sure. Yeah.
There's so many great species down that way as well that I'd be so interested. Different subspecies of sidewinder. You've got different coleonyx there. You've got rubber boas and rosy boas and stuff like that. It'd just be crazy to see that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I'd really love to see a rosy boa. That was high on my list when we were out in California. But so we'll have to head back there at some point. But yeah. I as much as I don't keep that stuff, I do find it quite fun to find it in the wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know your collection's very Australia-centric, but I'm really surprised you don't keep rubber boas. Because you like because it's only kind of an American Antaresia. It's...
Yeah. I don't know. I think I probably have a block in the back of my brain from when I was kid. I don't know. It just seemed like they were... It's probably what I'm saying about the children's python is probably how it's in my head about the rubber boas,
100%, yeah.
I think I've never even seen a rubber boa at all, wild or captive.
Really? I used to breed rubber boas regularly.
Yeah.
They're really cool. They're not super interesting to keep because you never see them.
Right.
You're basically keeping a tray of soil.
Right.
But fascinating little things. And it's a boa. It's a boa. That's what spins me out. It's probably 12 inches long, and it's a boa. It's mad.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's that we have a native boa in the one of the native boas in the U.S. is kind of cool, But so much to see.
So mate, so many trips. I mean, there's so many places I want to go to. Not all next year, but for me, America is like your Australia. I want to go to the Appalachian Mountains and look at all the salamanders there. I want to go to West Texas and do your trip where when you did. The Black Gap and all that sort of all that sort of stuff. There's just so much stuff. I want to go back to Arizona. It's just amazing. I want to go back to a different part of Arizona.
More north, further up.
Yeah, further up. Just try and get some tiger rattlesnakes and stuff like that. But there's very few sort of areas in America that wouldn't be of interest to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, I was saying also at the wedding that I find it almost criminal that I haven't been to Snake Road, and I'm a snake enthusiast.
100%. How have you not done that? How have you not done that?
Yeah.
I mean, messaging and back and forth. Dustin is killing it at the minute.
Oh, that kid.
Holy
shit.
Mate... I'm pleased for him that he got Price Eye. At the same time, I hate him because he got Price Eye.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
All that time we put in.
All that time and effort, especially as he keeps pinging me pictures going, sort of thing. No, I mean, fair play. He is a phenomenal herper. I mean, he's always out. I love the fact that he's always out. He's always trying. That's how. I mean, I know we've got. We're all older. We've got jobs and responsibilities and all that. I mean, I know he's got a job, but at his age, you have less responsibilities.
Yes.
But we should emulate. He's always any spare minute. He's out.
He's out herping.
Doing it.
Yeah.
He's just crushing it. And he's getting the results. He got his green rat snake, which was I know he wanted that for ages. What a great lifer to get.
Yeah.
But he got price eye as well. So yeah, you need to see everything in your state, Eric. There is no two ways about it.
Yeah, that was another thing that we were talking about. So a friend of ours, Mike Curtin, he was there, and he lives right by the Pine Barrens, and he was saying about, I don't know if it was us and our herping trips or whatever, but he's been inspired to sort of learn the Pine Barrens 100%. That's his area that he's going to focus on, and
that's great. I think that's inspirational.
Yeah,
but I do think I keep moaning at you. I don't mean to moan at you, but I do think you all take what you have for granted because it's your stuff, and I suppose everyone's guilty of that.
Yeah, 100%.
But but most of the stuff that you have in your area is so iconic for the rest of the world. I think if you spoke to most field herpers, the things they'd want to see above everything else would be rattlesnakes and hellbenders. And
yeah, you're probably right.
And you have, if you're into amphibians, the two, pinnacle species for the people that are into amphibians are definitely going to be Japanese, Chinese giant salamander, and the hellbender. And you've got hellbenders in your state, and then you've got mud puppies as well, which is another iconic thing. But you've also got, you've got your timber rattlesnakes there. You're superb, mate. What a place.
Yeah, I haven't actually went out particularly to herp per se, but what I've been doing is sort of looking at iNaturalist and sort of getting a feel where sightings are, and actually driving out to the area. So come springtime, I'm going to hit it hard, like what sort of similar to what Dustin does, like maybe once a week, try to get out, just a spot, walking around, learn it, take some notes.
100%, and not just for the field herp, but just for your mental health and your physical health.
Yeah,
that sort of stuff is it's priceless. We all work super hard. I mean, I know you work harder than most, but just to get out there, free your mind a little bit. Fantastic.
Yeah, there was there's a guy I watch, and he basically hikes Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland. So he'll go to all these different spots, and it's interesting because like one of the trails that he goes on, he says, watch, because probably in the first quarter of the hike, you're going to find rattlesnakes, and where they're looking out, like looking to not come into contact with them. I'm like, okay, we got to go there.
Yeah, I hope you've noted the spot down.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And then there's I met up with Robert and Jason who live. I went up and herped with them a bit, and they have some spots up there. But I was talking to Jason, and saying similar to what Mike was saying. I was like, we should pick a spot in Pennsylvania and really hit it hard, see what we can find, and so that's going to be
that's a great New Year's resolution.
Be the spring.
Yeah, that is really just get out there. I think that should be the message to anybody. You're not going to find it sat at home.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that what you can learn out in the field, you can also apply to whatever it is that you keep. It's kind of similar in a way, but you just start to see patterns of. I'm sure it's herping, and snakes don't come out this time, they come out after this, they do this, all these patterns will start to emerge when you do it enough, which is what inspires me from Dustin. He knows that area. I mean, he's amazing.
He's
impressive.
It is very, very impressive, and it's just so frustrating that
all the things he's finding is the stuff we want to see.
It's the fact that we was at exactly the same spots, breathing out of our asses because we're old and he's like young.
Yeah.
At altitude, sat in exactly the same spot where he's finding stuff that we really wanted to see.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because I know I have to go back there. I cannot not have seen it.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, that I think I talked to you about this in a message or something, but The one thing that I was doing wrong when we were doing those hikes and stuff, and I'm breathing out my mouth.
Yeah.
And I've like really been practicing breathing out my nose. And I know you were telling me when we were herping, but I don't know why that's such a hard thing for me. But what a difference.
Yeah, 100%. And you'll be losing a lot less moisture. It's just better regulation for you. You're going to be a machine, mate. You're going to be a machine for the new season.
I'm hoping. I got some time, yeah, I don't know. What else did we hit? I guess we hit on everything. I don't know.
We hit on a lot of stuff, didn't we?
Yeah. We'll have to go more in depth on the field herping trips. We got to get some field herping podcast up. I know people have been asking me, and I've been kind of slacking with those other ones. It's just time and
mate, you are super busy, and particularly the field herping podcast is a lot of work to do. It's a lot of editing. It's not like a quick chat podcast. There is a lot of work to do on that sort of podcasts, and you don't have, you're a busy chap.
Yeah. Yeah. Fighting crime in the supermarket.
Oh mate, it's just insane. Absolutely insane. What the hell. It's crazy. The nice thing was at the show I got stopped by a chap who asked to have his photo taken because he's a big fan of NPR and Venom Exchange Radio.
No kidding.
That's
really awesome.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's a nice thing to happen.
Yeah. In Owen's wedding, before they exchanged their vows, they were talking about their story of them two, and they're going through it, and it said something like, then Owen became a podcast celebrity, and he talked about his reptile collection. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's very cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
that is awesome.
Good times. All right. We're kind of at 2 hours, so I guess we'll cut it there. And
I do.
Yeah. Appreciate you coming and chatting with me.
Always
Keep it going.
Always a pleasure to chat, mate. Always a pleasure to chat.
Cool. What's on deck for Venom Exchange Radio? What do you got coming up with that?
We have got, hopefully, Mark O'Shea talking about his bites.
Excellent.
Trying to get some of the Spanish guys that did the paper that split Latas to come on there, talk about it.
Excellent.
We would like to get Scott and Ty to come and talk about their new book, which was great to see because Chimera, he's got it there. Look at that. I've got a copy. It is just a brilliant. If you're into elapids or if you're into venomous snakes in general, you have to own a copy. It is a tomb. It is brilliant. What was nice is Chimera had a big stand at the International Snake Day, and there was Scott's book alongside Justin's book,
nice,
which was really cool. Yeah, so that was good to see.
I got to finish that before I go into the elapid book.
Well, again, but you need to get your elapid book at least have an idea because you're going to be out there amongst the elapids, mate.
Yes, yeah, for sure. It makes me a little nervous because they don't quite react the way rattlesnakes do.
No, they don't play nice. They're a different level.
Yeah,
they don't announce themselves either, which is different.
Yeah,
that's just cool.
Okay, cool. All right, I guess with that we will end it, and good times until next time. Yeah, 100%.